In this video, we will find the y-intercept form of an equation from given information. Featured are primary vocabulary words that you should ensure you are familiar with. If you're not, I recommend that you look in prior notes and possibly videos online. Number one, what is the equation in slope-intercept form for the line that has a slope of -2/9 and passes through the point 18, 3? Okay, using the TI-84, we have two options. We can use the point slope formula that you saw in the prior vocabulary, and you may remember that formula, and then solve it and then double check it with our calculator. Or we can kind of gauge which one of these and enter them in the table and then see which one of them goes through our point. I'm going to quickly do both. So 18 is our our x of 1, and then 3 would be our y's of 1. Okay, so let's put that in our formula. Y minus 3 equals, now here's our slope that we use, -2/9. Now we have x minus the 18. And then when we solve, we've got 3 over here plus 3. And we end up with y equals -2/9x. Now this is where we put this part in the calculator and see which one of these options, A, B, C, or D, that we need. Okay, well, we have -2/9 times -18. So this is going to be solved together and then plus 3. Actually, the entire thing, put the entire end of this equation in our calculator, and then we see what value we have. Or we could guess and see what happens. Whichever way you want to do it. You could just try every one in the calculator and see which one ends up being the correct one after you solve. Either way, let's give it a go. Let's just start with what we know. We have a negative, and then we have our fraction, and 2/9. Go over, put in our x. Now, we can just go down the line. We could start with -7, enter. Now, what are we looking for? We're looking for when x is 18, is y 3. So just start at 18. Push enter, enter. You could use the ask option, but in this situation, I wouldn't bother with it. Just keep pushing enter, and we see that that's not the one that we need. Okay, and then we mark that one out. Now go clear, clear again, and I'm going to go with option D, +7. +7, okay? And then enter. We start at 18, enter, enter, and until we get our table. And that looks like it's correct. Okay, I just did that on happenstance because I already had 7 typed in. Now you could check +9 and -9 to see if D is, to verify that D is correct. Or we can go out to our clean slate and put in this whole back end that we have here and see if it all equals +7. So we have negative and then our fraction 2/9 and then times -18 and then +3. Press enter and it's a +7. So that actually verifies our solution. So what this equals is y equals the slope of 2/9x, and all of the yellow is our +7, which is option D. The concept used behind the TI-84 to solve this particular type of problem is the same as the TI-30. That means that we can try each of the 4 options in our calculator with our y equals, or we can also solve the slope point formula. Okay, so that being said, let's identify 18 as our x of 1 and 3 as our y of 1. So then we set up our formula. Y minus the 3 equals negative 2 over 9, which is our slope, and then x minus 18. Okay, now we have it set up. We can like kind of solve it or go ahead and go all the way through and carry it through. When we were using the TI-30, we really didn't have to do that because we can put this into the calculator. We can actually put the 2 over 9 x minus 18 with a plus 3 on the end. But then we couldn't identify. If we don't follow through, then we really can't identify exactly which one it is. Now, we do know that all of them have the same slope, all the options. So that gives us this. And then as we did before, we have negative 2 over 9 times negative 18, then plus the 3. Now that gives us something to pop in the calculator and figure out what our B value is. Okay, now we could put all actually all four of these in the TI-84 because the TI-84 gives us that ability. The only difference that I would make is I would arrow over and change that first color. We have pink, so let's do a different color. The second one's already pink. So let's use green. Let's see if there's something bright. So we can, well, the blue actually wasn't bad. It needs to show up in our list, not in a graph, but in a list. So let's enter, go down to OK. So now we have blue, pink, yellow. That's kind of hard to read. So let's change that. Okay. And we want it equal to. So, oh, I said green earlier. Let's try a green. Oh, that's good. And let's make this an equal. Okay, because that's really what we're trying to do here. It should have an equal. Or just a straight line. I'm sorry, just a straight line. Okay, and let's see here. All right, and let's see. 1, 2, 3. We need one more. That's pink. So we need to change the line to the equal straight line. Okay, pass it the first time on the other one. Okay, now, but we can't have pink. Black would be good. But like I said, we're not worried about the line. We need to read it in the list, okay? And you'll see what I'm up to here if you haven't seen the other videos. Okay, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4 different colors. Now let's start entering things. Let's put A in first. So negative, and then we need a fraction alpha y equals number 1, and that's 2 over 9. And arrow over to get your x. And then we need minus 7. Okay, let's go to the next one. Negative y equals number 1, 2 over 9, arrow over x. And that's a plus 9. Okay, I'm putting them in exactly the way they are on our paper, A, B, C, D. I think you probably already saw that. So alpha y equals number 1, 2 over 9, and then our x. And for this one, we want minus 9. And the last one will have a b value of plus 7. So negative alpha y equals number 1, 2 over 9, arrow over, get my x, and our plus 7. So double check, make sure that we've entered them all exactly the way our options are presented for us. Okay, that should work. Now, we want to start with y equals 18. I mean, not y equals, I'm sorry, excuse me, x equals 18. So let's go to second window, and I want to start at 18. And yes, we need steps of 1, so that's great. And let's say second graph, and let's take a look. there is a full table, all color coded. The first one is the blue, and that is negative 18 and negative 11. Well, that is not what we need. So A is not the option. And then the pink, that's the next one. That's 5. That would not be our option. Remember, we're looking for y equals 3. Well, just keep going and you can see it's the last one. It is the last one, which is option D. C was negative 13. So that's not valid. And also, we can go ahead and back out, go to a clean slate, and put in this negative 2 over 9 times negative 18 plus 3. This whole 1, 2, 3 terms, put them all together, add, they're multiplied, and then add the 3, and come up with a b value. That's actually our b value. So alpha y equals number 1 again, and then 9. And if that's a little clumsy for you, when you practice, you kind of get the gist of it. So times negative 18 plus the 3, press enter, and that verifies this plus 7. Okay, using the TI-Nspire is a little different than the TI-84. So, in my opinion, it's a little bit more clumsy, but we'll still proceed and do both things that we did as we did them on the prior calculators. Okay, first, we know that we have our x of 1 here and our y of 1 here. Okay, so when we create our equation, it's actually point slope. We need to use a point slope formula because we're given a slope, and then this is our point that we're given. So we have y minus the 3 equals our slope of negative 2 over 9, then x minus the 18. Now, we go through, or rather we follow through by using our algebra. So plus 3 on both sides, which is going to give us y equals negative 2 over 9 x. And then by manipulating, or rather distributing, excuse me, we are manipulating, but we need to distribute, again, the negative 2/9 to the negative 18. So 2 over 9 times negative 18. And don't forget about the plus 3. These are things that you know how to do already. Okay, and then when we follow through that these last 3 numbers and actually multiply and add those together, we'll get our b value. Then we'll have y equals negative 2 over 9x, and we'll have our b value. Well, let's calculate that first. Okay, so let's push enter because we already were highlighted. We had already highlighted on the calculate in the scratch pad. So that's where we are right now. So we have negative, and then push this side of the button. Remember, you have 2 sides of the buttons. We want this one, and it's the first item. Okay, if your items look different, just look for your fractions setup. Okay, then push enter. So we have 2 over 9, and then arrow over, and we need plus, I'm sorry, not plus, times negative 18, negative 18. And then plus 3. Okay, make sure we've typed it in correctly. It's a little small. Just to compare it against your handheld. Now push enter. Actually, yes, we only need to push enter once, and it's 7. So the value we need is plus 7. And that gives us option D. But we also need to verify that, okay? All right, so what do? We can go back to home and arrow over, and then uh, go to a new document. That's where we are right now. Then arrow down where it says graph and enter. Okay, we're at the first one. Go ahead and put in uh, option D, and then see if we actually did it correctly. Did we do it correctly so that we see that point on our graph or in the table of the graph? Okay, so let's do that. We have negative fraction again. It's the first one. Okay, and that's 2, arrow down 9, and then arrow over x plus 7. Okay, let's enter that and see what happens. Okay, there's our line. Well, it's kind of hard here, and you can use your mouse and then pull that down. Well, we need to see if it has 18 and 3. Well, that's a little tough. So what do we need? We need the table. So let's put our table in. Let's arrow down. Actually, that's number 7. I'm just going to push 7 because it highlights what we need. And then push enter. And there we go. And then we arrow all the way down. And just arrow down until you get to 18. And as you see right here, I'll go up again. 18 does yield 3. So we know that we've selected the correct option. We verify that D is correct. Now, you could have done it differently by entering each of those graphs separately. But as you see, it's a little more clumsy on the Nspire. There's more than one way to get there. Now, we could have put in all 4 and then traced it. It's still going to be just a little on the difficult side, as you can see. See, we can analyze it. Let's say where it has analyze graph, and we don't want to find the 0. It has minimum, maximum, analyze. It just doesn't give us those things that we need. It's not the right analysis. So the best way to use it, I guess, is table, where it doesn't give us those nice options. So the only thing we have here is we could try trace. All right. So that's number 1. So let's give it a go and see what happens. Well, if I go backwards, it's on 19.5. So let's keep going it back until we get 18. And there it is. So we could have just used trace. So there's more than one way to deal with this. We could have put them all in and then use trace in the graphing option, or you can solve it, by hand and double check it. Honestly, it's up to you, whichever way you feel is best for you. The Desmos Graphing Calculator, even the TExES version for this particular problem, will be a little bit easier to use. Okay. So, what I like to do is put all 4 of my options in the calculator and then also my point. Yes, you could solve it as we did with the prior calculators. We said that y minus 3 equals negative 2 over 9 times x minus 18, and then we solve for y. And where did we get the minus 3 and the minus 18? Well, 18 is our x of 1, and the 3 is the y of 1, which that goes here. And then this goes here. Okay, yeah, and it's called the y's of 1 or y of 1. They're indexed, okay? And that's where they go, and that's what we did with the prior calculators showing how to use those. So, but for us, we could do that, but I want to show you something slick with the Desmos calculator. Okay, so let's pop each of these in. Okay, so I'm going to go bring up my little keyboard and minus, and then 2 divided by 9, and it pops right over for us. And then arrow over, put in your x, and the first one is minus 7. Now go to the next line. Now here's the thing. You can use your cut and paste option. So highlight and then say Control C. Go to the next line and Control V. But go back and say delete out your B value and put in the one you want. And I'm going in order A, B, and C. Again, you may go to the next line and then paste. But I want -9. So I just go back and put in a 9. Delete out the 7 and put in a 9. Now, I'll do it another time, one more time, for the D option, and that will be a plus. So I highlighted the negative, and I'll type over a +7. And now you see all three of those lines. Now, how do I know which one I want? Well, you simply type in the point. So type in your parentheses and then 18 and your comma, which is right here. See our comma. And then we need to put in our 3. Oops, need to actually push it. And then close it. Okay. Now, let's take a look at our graph and see where it is. It is right here, and that is on top of the line that is black, which is option D. It's just a clever little trick to use a calculator. Yeah, absolutely sure. I could follow through like I did with the other calculators and manipulate and uh solve for y. So I want to, and I'll go ahead and do that. If I had +3 on both sides, what would I have? I would have y equals -2. Oops, I could write a little too quickly. -2/9, and then we distribute, of course, then that's x minus 2/9 times -18 plus 3. And then all of these last 3, we pop those in the calculator, and we're going to see +7. And if you fast forwarded to get here and you missed the first part of the video or a prior video, then you didn't see me to actually do this. So -2 divided by 9. Now remember, you have to arrow over and then times -18. Notice I'm using the minus. They do not give you a negative option. The calculator just knows how to read it because it's an online calculator. It's not a handheld, so it's a computer program. It's a little more swanky. Okay, then plus a 3, and that gives us a 7 that we needed. Okay, which again, all of this in combination verifies option D. Thank you for watching. If you would like the materials that accompany these videos, you can visit us at numbersareradical.com. And once again, everyone, happy testing.